On planet Veyron, 9, where the sky tasted like burnt copper and the moons had arguments every night about who should shine first, the hunters were very proud of their teeth. Sharp, shiny, and culturally significant. The young warriors spent hours polishing them in front of reflective meteor rocks, practicing intimidating growls that sounded more like a sick kettle trying to sing opera. And then there was Lira Senn. She had small horns growing sideways, like she was permanently confused about which direction was forward. Her eyes were amber, very observant, and very tired of everyone talking about honor. Honor, in the tribe of the Red Sky Claw, meant hunting something larger than you, louder than you, and preferably something that could not complain after being eaten. Lira did not like hunting. She liked thinking, which was considered suspicious activity. Thinking is how predators sneak inside your skull and start charging rent. Elder Mara once said while chewing a metallic berry and judging everyone younger than 70 solar cycles. Lira sat near the broken antenna tower overlooking the desert plains of Torkel Valley. The wind there made a singing noise like 3 drunk birds arguing about mathematics. Beside her was Tin, a skinny young warrior who was trying to look brave while secretly scratching his tail scales. Tin, Lira said slowly, like she was explaining philosophy to a confused rock. Yes, Lira the weird one, Tin replied, because he was honest and slightly afraid of her. Why does everyone want to hunt the Last Huntress? Tin blinked twice. Then he whispered, because if we catch her, the prophecy says we become the strongest clan in the Spiral Arm. And also because she killed 3 council champions, 2 supply caravans, and insulted the Supreme Banner by calling it emotionally unstable. Lira considered this. Then she said, I feel sympathy for anyone who insults a banner. Banners have feelings too. They wave when they are happy. Tin did not laugh because he was not sure if she was joking. Far away, thunder rolled across the sand ocean. Except it was not thunder. It was footsteps. The scouts screamed from the valley ridge, their voices cracking like cheap musical instruments. She is coming. The Last Huntress is coming. The tribe warriors gathered. They wore bone armor decorated with tiny glowing desert beetles, because fashion was important even during potential death events. The chief, old Hark Ven, stood on a platform made from crashed meteor metal. His beard was braided with silver desert sand. Today, Hark Ven announced dramatically, we in the legend of the outsider hunter. She who moves like silent lightning. She who laughs after breaking skulls. She who eats battlefield meat without seasoning and calls it cultural disrespect. Some warriors nodded seriously. Others were trying not to imagine unsalted battlefield meat. The wind stopped. Even the singing birds became suspiciously quiet. Then she arrived. Not running. Not flying. Walking. Like she owned the concept of gravity and was negotiating with it politely. The Last Huntress wore a dark combat coat, stitched with old star maps. Her boots made no sound. Her hair was tied loosely with a copper band that had scratches like it had survived many arguments. Her eyes were green and very bored. Lira felt something strange. Not fear, not admiration. Something like meeting someone who had already decided you were mildly amusing but not worth remembering. The Huntress spoke first. Her voice was soft. Which one of you is planning to die loudly today? Nobody answered immediately, because it was a good question. Finally, Hark Ven said, You are the enemy of our species. The Huntress tilted her head. That depends, she said, on whether your species keeps sending people to stab me first. A warrior shouted, You killed our champions. Yes, the Huntress said politely. They attacked me while shouting heroic poetry about destiny. One of them rhymed glory with Sari. I was emotionally injured. Lira almost laughed. Almost. But she was careful, because laughing during political tension could be interpreted as enthusiasm for violence. The chief raised his spear. Last Huntress, surrender or face the sacred wrath of the Red Sky Claw. The Huntress looked at the spear. Then she said, Is that spear ceremonial or functional? Both, the chief said proudly. That is a terrible engineering decision, the Huntress replied. A warrior rushed forward, screaming traditional battle poetry about honor, blood, and aggressive breakfast habits. The huntress moved. Not fast, not slow. Exactly when the warrior's foot touched the wrong shadow angle. She tapped his shoulder gently. The warrior fell asleep immediately and started snoring like a broken air compressor. The tribe stared. Tin whispered, "Did she hypnotize him?" "No," Lira said quietly. She hit the nerve cluster behind the collarbone and released neurofatigue response. "How do you know that?" "I read medical conflict manuals. They are more entertaining than romance poetry." The wind started singing again. The huntress spoke. "I am not here to destroy your clan." Chief Hark Vin narrowed his eyes. "That is what conquerors say before destruction." The huntress smiled slightly. "I am here because something is hunting humans across the outer migration routes." The tribe went silent. Even the desert beetles stopped glowing. The huntress continued, "It is not a beast. It is not a clan. It is not a weapon you understand yet." She looked directly at Lira. "You are the only one here who is not thinking about glory." Lira felt like someone had opened a very small window inside her chest where curiosity lived. She stood and spoke. "Why me?" The huntress answered, "Because you're going to be the last hunter who helps me." Tin whispered, "This sounds suspiciously like recruitment." Lira asked, "What is the thing hunting humans?" The huntress said one word, "Whispers," and the desert wind suddenly stopped laughing. Far beyond the valley, something moved between stars like a patient shadow, learning patience from silence itself. The chief lowered his spear slowly, because even proud warriors understand when the air becomes heavier without reason. The huntress continued, almost talking to herself now. "They eat memories. First they eat language. Then they eat names. Then people forget how to ask for help." Lira felt a strange chill. "Why humans?" The huntress smiled. "Because humans are loud, and loud things are easy to find." Thunder that was not thunder rolled again from the horizon. But this time it sounded like something breathing behind a closed sky. And the last huntress said, "If we fail, your tribe will still hunt animals for honor. But you will forget why you hunt." Lira spoke quietly. "What do you want from me?" The huntress answered, "I want the last hunter who knows how to think before killing." The wind began singing the name of something that was not born yet. And far above the desert moons, something very patient opened an eye made of waiting darkness. The desert wind was now behaving like a man who had forgotten the punchline of his own joke and was trying very hard to look serious while searching his pockets. Lira Senn stood between the tribe and the stranger from the outer migration routes. Behind her, warriors shifted their weight like nervous statues that were suddenly aware they were being watched by history. Chief Harkvan had lowered his ceremonial spear, but not because he was afraid. He was simply thinking. Thinking was a dangerous hobby among Red Sky Claw leadership, usually resulting in uncomfortable questions about destiny, breakfast quality, and whether heroic shouting actually improves battle success rates. The last huntress watched Lira silently. The huntress spoke first. "Your tribe wants to kill me because legends are easier to maintain when the hero has a corpse attached." Tin whispered to another warrior, "I feel personally attacked by philosophical accuracy." Lira said, "You said something is hunting humans." "Yes," the huntress replied. "What are whispers made of?" The huntress looked at the sky for a moment like she was checking whether the stars were listening politely. Then she answered, "They are made of forgotten thoughts." The tribe warriors exchanged confused glances. One young warrior named Jero scratched his helmet and said, "I once forgot where I put my ceremonial tooth sharpener. Does that count?" "Nobody," answered Jero. Jero was used to this. The huntress continued, "When civilizations grow loud, they create shadows of their own noise. Those shadows eventually learn hunger." Lira said slowly, "So humans talk too much?" "Yes," the huntress said, "and your species writes things down. The whisperers eat the space between meaning and memory." Chief Harkvin spoke. "How do they hunt?" "They move inside communication fields," the huntress said. "Radio, neural nets, dreams during long space travel. They wait until someone forgets a word. Then they grow." The tribe was quiet. Someone dropped a metal amulet. The sound was very loud in the silence. Lira felt a strange, uncomfortable humor inside her mind. "So," she said, "if we stop talking, they cannot eat us?" The huntress smiled slightly. No, silence is where they are born. Tin whispered, I am starting to dislike philosophy. Far in the sky, one of the moons turned slightly darker. Not eclipsed, not broken, just ignored by light. The huntress spoke again. I have been hunting them for 70 planetary years. Chief Hart then asked, why humans? Why not hunt them away from us? The huntress laughed once. It was not a happy laugh. It was the sound of someone remembering a bad comedy performance they were forced to watch during wartime. Because she said, the whisperers like civilizations that believe they are alone in the universe, but talk loudly anyway. Lira asked, what do you need from me? The huntress answered, you are from the Red Sky Claw tribe. Yes. You are the last recorded hunter who refuses to kill animals for sport. Lira nodded. I dislike sport killing. Animals make better conversation than most council elders. Some warriors snorted quietly. The chief ignored them. The huntress said, the whisperers are gathering near the old communication ruins of Port Sari. Tin raised a hand like a student asking permission to speak during serious history class. What happens if they win? The huntress answered simply, your species will continue living. Everyone relaxed slightly. Then she added, but humans will forget why they are alive. The wind stopped singing completely. Even the desert beetles dimmed their light. Lira spoke. If we fight them, we cannot use loud communication. Correct. Then how do we coordinate battle? The huntress reached into her coat and removed a small silver device shaped like a sleeping bird. This is a memory transmitter. It sends intention without sound. Tin said that is terrifyingly advanced and emotionally disturbing. The chief stepped forward. Why should the Red Sky Claw tribe trust an outsider hunter who insults our banners and our breakfast traditions? The huntress looked at him. Then she said, because I already saved 3 of your caravans without telling you. The tribe went very still. Even Jero stopped scratching his helmet. Chief Hark then asked quietly, why not ask for reward? The huntress said, humans are my species. I protect noisy creatures because silence is suspicious when it thinks too much. Lira spoke again. I will help you hunt whisperers. Tin said, I expected this decision earlier, but I respect the dramatic timing. The chief sighed like an old mountain, deciding whether earthquakes were worth the effort. Then you leave tomorrow. The huntress shook her head. Tonight. The whisperers are already feeding near the abandoned orbital beacon. Lira asked, what is your name? The huntress hesitated. Then she said, my designation is Mara Solin, but humans call me the Last Huntress because I keep killing things that should not exist inside communication shadows. Tin whispered, that is a very intimidating job title. Night fell quickly. The tribe prepared silently. Warriors sharpened blades, but without singing battle songs. The desert sky grew heavy, like it was carrying something that did not belong there. Lira stood beside Mara Solin on a ridge overlooking the forgotten ruins of Port Sari. Far above, between 2 moons, something moved like a patient mouth waiting to taste history. Mara said quietly, when the battle begins, do not speak unless necessary. Lira asked why. Because the whisperers learn from conversation. The wind began whispering faintly. Not words, just a shape of thinking. Lira felt fear, and curiosity, and something else, excitement. Because sometimes hunters do not chase prey. Sometimes hunters chase answers that bite back. Below the ridge, Red Sky Claw warriors waited in silence. Above them, the universe listened. And somewhere inside the dark between stars, something very old was hungry for memory. The Last Huntress activated the silver memory transmitter, and the night prepared itself for a hunt where silence would be the battlefield.